John tightened the straps of his oxygen tank, the weight familiar but still uncomfortable. He glanced at Matthew, who was adjusting his diving mask with a focused expression. The two had been diving together for years, but this mission felt different. The sunken ship they were about to explore was deeper than anything they'd attempted before, and the ocean's surface above them was eerily calm, too calm. "You ready for this?" John asked, his voice muffled by the mask. Matthew nodded, though his eyes betrayed a flicker of unease. "As ready as I'll ever be. Let's just stick to the plan, confirm the ship's location, mark the areas of interest, and get back to the boat. No detours." John chuckled, though it sounded more nervous than amused. "Detours in a sunken ship? No thanks." The two men had been hired by a team of marine biologists to explore a recently discovered shipwreck. The vessel had sunk decades ago, and its location made it a potential gold mine for marine research. But for John and Matthew, it was more than just a job. It was a chance to dive deeper than they ever had before, to push their limits and experience the thrill of the unknown. As they plunged into the water, the world above disappeared, replaced by the vast blue expanse of the ocean. The silence was profound, broken only by the rhythmic sound of their breathing through the regulators. The water was clear, but the depth made everything feel darker, more ominous. It didn't take long to spot the ship. Its massive hull loomed in the distance, covered in barnacles and seaweed. The divers exchanged a quick glance, their excitement palpable even through the masks. They swam closer, marking the ship's location and familiarizing themselves with its layout. Everything was going according to plan, until John noticed something in the corner of his eye. A shadow moved in the distance, too large to be a fish. He froze, his heart pounding as he signaled to Matthew. The two men turned slowly, their movements cautious, and that's when they saw it. A great white shark, its sleek body cutting through the water with terrifying grace. Matthew's breath hitched and John's grip tightened on his diving knife, though he knew it would be useless against a creature of that size. The shark circled them, its movements deliberate but not aggressive. It didn't bare its teeth or charge at them. It just watched, as if assessing them. "What the hell is it doing?" John's voice crackled through the radio, barely above a whisper. "I don't know," Matthew replied, his voice steady but laced with tension. "But it's not attacking. Maybe it's just curious." The shark continued to circle, its dark eyes unreadable. Minutes felt like hours as the divers remained motionless, their fear slowly giving way to confusion. Then, without warning, the shark turned and swam toward the ship. "Is it leaving?" John asked, his voice tinged with relief. But the shark stopped a few meters away and turned back, as if waiting for them. It repeated the motion, swimming toward the ship, stopping, and looking back at them. Matthew's eyes narrowed. "I think it wants us to follow it." "Are you insane?" John hissed. "We don't know what it wants. For all we know, it's leading us into a trap. Or it's trying to show us something," Matthew countered. "Look, we've got cameras and radios. If things go south, we call for help. But this isn't normal shark behavior. Don't you want to know why it's doing this?" John hesitated, his instinct screaming at him to swim back to the boat. But curiosity won out. "Fine, but if we die, I'm blaming you." The two men followed the shark, their movements slow and deliberate. The creature led them deeper into the shipwreck, its massive body navigating the narrow passages with surprising ease. The water grew darker, the silence more oppressive. John's heart raced as they entered a large chamber, its walls rusted and crumbling. And then, they saw it. In the corner of the chamber was a pocket of air, and inside were two people. Alive. Their faces were pale, their eyes wide with shock and relief. One of them weakly raised a hand, as if to signal for help. John's breath caught in his throat. "What the hell?" Matthew swam closer, his movements careful so as not to startle the survivors. He gestured for John to join him, and together they assessed the situation. The survivors were trapped, their oxygen running low, but they were conscious. The shark hovered nearby, its presence now almost reassuring. "We need to get them out of here," Matthew said, his voice firm. "John, radio the captain. Tell him we've got survivors and need immediate assistance." John nodded, his hands trembling as he activated the radio. "Captain, this is John. We've found survivors in the shipwreck. Repeat, we've found survivors. We need extraction ASAP." The response was immediate. "Understood. Stay where you are. We're sending help." As they waited, the divers did their best to comfort the survivors, sharing oxygen and reassuring them that help was on the way. The shark remained nearby, its watchful presence a silent reminder of the strange turn of events. When the rescue team arrived, the survivors were carefully extracted and brought to the surface. John and Matthew followed, their minds reeling from what they had just experienced. As they climbed back onto the boat, the captain clapped them on the back, his face a mixture of relief and disbelief. "You two just made history," he said. "No one's ever survived a shipwreck like that, and a shark leading you to them? That's something out of a movie." John and Matthew exchanged a glance, their exhaustion giving way to a sense of awe. They had set out on a routine dive and ended up part of something extraordinary. The survivors, though weak, were expected to make a full recovery, and their story would soon spread like wildfire. As the boat headed back to shore, Matthew leaned against the railing, staring out at the ocean. "Do you think the shark knew?" he asked quietly. "Do you think it understood what it was doing?" John shrugged, a small smile playing on his lips. "I don't know, but I do know one thing. I'm never doubting a shark again." The two men laughed, the sound carrying over the waves. They had faced their fears, followed their instincts, and in doing so, had become part of a story that would be told for years to come. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the ocean in shades of gold and crimson, they knew they had experienced something truly unforgettable.